try and take down the player and challenge him. If you get too close to him, she's gonna swipe him. He's gonna fly back, and so it doesn't seem like going straight at her is really gonna help. And so she shoots projectiles at the player, but if you time it right, you can actually parry him back at the boss. And so that's kind of one of the things that we were going for. If you can time it right, you can parry it back. You want to defeat the tentacles. Kind of make sure that both the tentacles and the boss get hit. Now it seems like you did parry back and hit it, so a few more tentacles are going to spawn out of this ground. Basically, you want to kill enough of these weak tentacles such that the boss goes into a weakened state. So why don't you take these tentacles out and really defeat her. Now it seems to really hurt the boss, and so these tentacles are in a weakened state, so you can really get to the boss and hurt her. She seems to be hiding kind of behind her giant tentacle wall, and this is our damage. This is our pattern for defeating the boss. You notice that as he hits her now, she kind of the health meter goes down, and this is our lather, rinse, repeat method of defeating the boss. We really took inspiration from games such as Ninja Gaiden that really force a pattern into defeating a boss that you have to learn. And so I'm just gonna let Clark enable this secret killer mode sheet, which will kind of defeat these enemies and this boss in one hit, so we can show you what happens when you defeat the boss. Because this is a prolonged encounter, so we want to, just skip through this after we take down these weak tentacles. So go ahead and try and parry the projectile back again, get her into the weakened state, so we can finish her off. Oh, careful. Alright, we're taking these tentacles out. She should be in her weakened state soon. I'm going to take out a few more, and this should put her into it. Try and take out the tentacles, because that's what's going to put her in the weakened state. The ranged tentacle. On the left. There it is. Alright, there we go. And so why don't you just finish her off for Alright, well there you have it. We unlocked the little achievement thing, and you see tons of blood and orbs pop up, like kind of as a victory dance. And so that's it. Once again, we are Team Classy Raptor, and this is Sanguine, a science fiction action adventure hack-and-slash play. I'm gonna hand it back off to Matt to take questions.
So what do you guys think? We're gonna open it up for some questions from the audience. John Rebor.
So there's a lot of really complex stuff that's going on. What was the hardest system to actually get in? Was it the swarming, the deferred shading?
Okay, so the question was, what was the hardest feature that we had to get in our game? I don't really know specifically who to hand that off to. I guess Michael Johnson, our tech lead.
Hey, what's up? Our camera was pretty difficult. We had to redesign it for the boss encounter, and we didn't have the boss encounter fully until FF2, and then we were still working on it throughout our later stages of development. So I'd say the camera system. I don't know that.
That answer your question? Anybody else?
I noticed that whenever he did the parry move, the camera angle changed or whatever. How exactly do you associate the camera with the move that the player is doing?
Okay, so the question is, how do we get the camera to change movement during special times in the game, right? Certain events. Clark, you want to handle that one?
It's like a separate camera mode from the normally our camera system is on rails that find the closest point between the rail and the player. So whenever it goes into some special mode like that, it's a completely separate mode. You just kind of find a point around the player, and it was based on, I think I based it on the number of hits that you were going to do in the combo to determine the length of time that it zoomed in for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, we can take a few more. Any other questions?
Back here.
Yes.
The graphic you have, it was on his weapon, the female there. Where'd you get that from? What was the?
Okay, so the question was, where did the pinup girl come from that's on the weapon? Ray, you want to answer that one? You're the one that did that.
Hey everybody, it was just an idea that we got from a lot of the old war fighters back in World War II and stuff. They always had a pinup girl on the plane or on the tank or whatever. And also if you play games like Gears of War or StarCraft, there's usually a pinup girl on whatever machinery they're using. So we just want to add a little bit of extra attitude to that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, she appears to be similar to the Roger Rabbit. Is that where it sort of came from?
lot of inspiration from Dita Von Teese. That was where most of it came from. So, good.
Not to mention she's hot. Anybody else? Yes.
It looks like you had a lot of moves and combos, special abilities. About how many are there, and did you have to cut any that you would have liked to get in?
Okay, so the question was how many special moves do we have, and did we have any moves that we're wanting to put in that we didn't actually get in? I don't know the exact count of that.
There's probably only 9 unique moves.
Yeah, basically what we do is we create finishers, and then we have linker moves that go in between that, and the linker moves we can kind of reuse those. Like you can see during the parry move, he strings together a bunch of attacks, and those are just basically like, we just go into our chest of animations and just put them in different orders that look good and create something out of that. So we can kind of create something out of nothing. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? I don't see the person, but I see. Okay, yes.
Did you find it challenging to give the player opportunities where there is an advantage over using the sword or using the projectile weapon? Like, was that a challenge, or did you think that you did that well?
Okay, so the question was, what is the use of the gun versus using the sword? Is that kind of
Or
question?
did you have a hard time coming up with reasons to provide the player where one is more advantageous over the other?
Okay. Well, Clark, do you want to handle that one? Okay.
I think it actually turned out to be pretty well balanced, but we kind of got lucky. Someone had the idea to make the projectiles have a AoE effect or like a splash damage when it hits something, and that ended up kind of balancing it out. I was cheating when I played, so I had unlimited ammo, but we provided kind of just enough ammo for the player. That last area you can't really get through without the AoE effect of the gun. It worked out pretty well. When you have limited ammo, actually, you have to conserve it for times when you're fighting, when you have a glob of enemies and you can take advantage of the AoE effect. So the balancing kind of worked out automatically on that one, I think, and it turned out pretty well. Does that answer your question?
As playing through the game, also one of the advantages I saw was using it to weaken up the brutes before you get next to them. Kind of hit them from a distance and then run in and finish them off. I have time for one more question. Yes.
During the demo, you were commenting about the environment and how rich it was and how lighting changed and everything. How many or how varied are the transitions between those environments and how do they fit in with the gameplay?
Okay, so the question was how many different areas we have in our environment and how the transitions work between those?
Well, yeah, just how did it react to something that occurred with the player? How did the player impact how the environment changed and how did those transitions work out for you?
Okay. Kirby, you want to talk about that one?
So I forget how many areas. We have like 5 areas, 6 areas, 9. Okay, wow, completely off. So we have 9 different areas, and yeah, half of our game is jungle, the other half is compound. And like Liz was saying before, we wanted to have stark contrast in the color palette and the lighting. We wanted it to be really warm and everything like that in the jungle. But once you get into the facility, you want to be really foreboding, have really high contrast lighting, something that would lead the character through. And I don't know if you noticed through the game, the walkthrough or whatever, but that the character himself has a point light on him. So you can always kind of see where he is, so he doesn't get lost in the environment. And we also have point lights on our projectiles and everything like that. So that's a way that the player himself can impact the lighting in the environment is through the projectiles. Did that answer your question?
Okay, so we are Team Class Raptor, and this was Sanguine. We thank you all for coming out, and we hope you had a good time.